So you need to put in a downspout, do you? Not exactly sure how to do that? Well, that's okay, because we're going to do this together right now. First, make sure you got all your basic supplies. Downspouts, plenty of corners, screws, and straps. Take your first corner and just line it up right there at the bottom of the gutter where it needs to go. Take a carpenter's pencil and mark it. Try to make sure this marking is good and pretty precise, because we're going to need that. Next, use your utility knife to score an X inside these markings. Now you need to make sure you stay inside the markings, because we're going to fold these flaps out, and too small, we will not be able to get the screws into it very well to attach. Too big, and you're going to have leaks right there at the first joint. So this part needs to be very precise, and of course, yes, the video is sped up here. It doesn't really go that fast. After you score it a few times, you can take your utility knife and actually pierce it through, starting probably right there at the center of the X, and working it around. Sometimes that's an easier way to make sure this is precise, is actually piercing your scoring marks with the knife. And also, do make sure you got some gloves on during this thing, because that sheet metal is like razor blades on the edges. Next, get yourself a good pair of pliers so that you can bend these flaps out. These flaps need to come out straight and square. The more square the better, because we're attaching our first corner to this piece here. The gutter's going to be, the downspout's going to be supported to the gutter from this, and we need those screws to be able to attach that real well. So take a few minutes to make sure this part is done right. This part is probably the part that's messed up the most. After that, you can get your corner piece attached. Always put at least 2 screws in each joint. Heck, a third doesn't hurt if you've got the room. Now that's set in there, we can start to measure for our next piece of gutter. Stretch out the downspout to where you think it's going to hit the wall, and take it to your saw and cut it. Hopefully you have a miter saw where you can get a fabric abrasive blade for it. Get a metal cutting fabric abrasive blade. They're great, they cut very clean. But now you notice we have another problem. They don't fit together. Well, take one end there and use a needle nose pair of pliers and pinch in the edges. That way it'll decrease the size of the downspout piece, so that they will slip into the corner. There you go. Very easy to do. Works great. Always make sure you do start at the top and put each piece inside the next piece. It needs to be the right direction, because you think which way the water is flowing, because you don't want the wrong piece to be outside so that the water leaks. We don't want any of these joints to leak. Alright, after that, you got that squared up. Make sure it's the right length and not too long. If you have to take it back down and recut it, and of course you can use a hacksaw. The miter saw just cuts it much straighter. Now we're ready for the downspout down the wall. We need to make sure it's level and square. We're going to mark 2 areas here, as you can see, on the wall, because that's where we need to put the straps in. The straps give it total support, and they're necessary. Standard single-story house down a wall, 2 straps generally sufficient. Get them inside your marked area so that they are centered. Standard exterior screw to hold them in place. Should be just fine. Now that that's done, we can get our downspout back in place and really line it up. We're going to get this attached and squared up. I do like using the hex head sheet metal screws, and we do not need self-tapping. The sheet metal on this is pretty thin, and the standard sheet metal screws go right in. As you can see, the straps, after you get the downspout line back in with your marks, just fold the straps over and set a screw in it, and boom, that part's done. But now we have another issue. We can't just leave it sitting there to fill up water right there at the edge of the house. This is a low corner as it is, and we'll just end up flooding the crawl space. So we need to shoot it out towards the outside, to the yard, to the further part of the house. What we're going to do is we're going to take it closer to this part of the building here. Always try to keep it nice and neat, and no, we don't want downspouts where people trip on it. As you're attaching the additional downspout, make sure it does have a downward angle. So do put a level on this and make sure it stays downhill all the way out, because we don't want any water standing in your downspout. After that, we're just about done here. We're trying to make sure it's level. A little bit of caulking, silicone caulking at your first joint is great for those corners. And there we go. We have a downspout. Thanks for joining me.